Hello everyone, this is Daydream Tracer, and today with me I have my friend, Raffine52.
And this is me. Well, I know you hear my voice, but
And today we are going to do an overview of Trails of Cold Steel.
that's right. That franchise is first we got into this year. So, I will give you a little bit of history on it. I first heard about the franchise back in 2020 when I was getting into Nintendo virtual stores. At first glance, the virtual idols, I just compared the virtual idols is the cowards for Trails of Cold Steel. So, like, me as Alsa, you is Vi, Vice is Juna, and Rit is Mus. And I saying it right?
I think you might be. I have not actually played the game yet, so just
It's okay.
guessing with the pronunciations.
Yeah, I'm not the best, but I'm doing my best. Anyways, then I look up some. But anyways, I look up at the gameplay videos of Trails of Cold Steel, and basically, yeah, this was back before I was into Nintendo big time. And I barely even know Trails of Cold Steel at the time. In 2021, I bought the games that long. I first bought the second game, then the third game, and I went the same for the full fourth game, and I bought Trails of Duality and then Trails of Cold Steel 1 throughout 2021 and 2022. And since then, I started doing a playthrough of all five games, beginning the first game and ending all the way to the fifth, Trails to into Battling, which is currently only in Japan at the time of this recording.
And I think it's expected to be released internationally in 2023, I think, so next year.
Yeah, I was like, I only want to wait until this year comes so I can just to play the game. So I bought the January's version already, so I own it at this point.
And I still remember when you gifted me a copy of the original, which I have it installed, I have not booted it up yet.
It's okay. Besides, you were busy with a lot of stuff.
Of course, mostly, just, chatting with you guys on Discord, as well as, dealing with the YouTube stuff and continuing my playthrough, which is, of course, Shantan the Pirate's Curse, which I've been doing since April.
Yeah.
But that's
As
on
for
a
me,
that's on a hiatus for now, by the way.
I see. As for me, I've been essentially doing my usual duties, playing games, doing mods for other games, hopefully Doom. The list goes on and on.
How I first heard about Trails of Cold Steel, I remember watching this documentary on the history of Falcon back in 2020 after Thanksgiving. I was like, well, that is interesting how it's connected to the Legend of Heroes franchise.
Yeah. Basically, I thought this was part of I thought this was the Legend of Zelda in general. But when I played the games, when Leo began the first game, I was wrong. Playing through this game feels like a combination I have to mention Nintendo, Very Fancy F, Persona, all rolled into one.
And that is interesting. Out of all those franchises, the only one I've ever really played and covered on this channel even is, of course, Neptunia, which that really got me into JRPGs.
As for me, well, Blaze Blue was the first to get me to anime game series in general, but and so is Final Fantasy VII for getting me to RPGs as well. And I did play a bunch of RPGs in the past, but I would mention the Tape was the first RPG that I truly played from start to finish on my own. Especially which one I happen to mention Antilia, the one that was released on the PlayStation 3, and not Rebirth 1. That freaking game that is like having to mention victory every way imaginable.
Although, believe it or not, I actually started with Rebirth 1, where I bought the game with some leftover birthday money, and then I played Mark 2. Emulated Mark 2, actually.
I see. As for me, I played for Seth, played for Lucy's game, then Rebirth 2, then Rebirth 3, and I played for the Richmond Interior.
So you kind of went out of order. I'm kind of the same way with certain other franchises.
Yeah, I agree. Because Rebirth 1 is not a popular replacement for the original Interior, and then completely different game story. Rebirth 1 is probably one of those games I totally skip, because this game feels like having to mission the Interior victory in disguise.
Of course, though, That is a talk for another video. This is supposed to be about the overview of Trails of Cold Steel.
And then we'll talk to Kira.
That's okay, we all tend to go off topic.
Anyway, putting on a serious face for this point. So how were the games released during that time? Well, let's see. So for the original Trails of Cold Steel, it was released in Japan on September 26, 2013 on both the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita. Then it was released in the US in September 22nd, 2015. Then the European version came out a year later on January 29, 2016.
Okay, so the American version came out 2 years after the Japanese version. I wonder why. Usually, when it comes to the Japanese release and the North American release, it's usually like 6 months to a year even.
Actually, the reason why for this 2 year gap was because they had to translate a lot of the text and make sure that and a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the text, you name it.
So it's very text heavy compared to the cutscenes in Neptunia.
Yeah, so that explains why. For Transical Steel 2 on the end, it was released in September 25, 2014, 1 year after the release of Transical Steel. Then, Mega got it in September 6, 2016, and then Europe got it in November 2016. Published by Nisa Europe. That's right, Nisa.
NIS America, I knew that they had localized and published a lot of Falcom's games.
Yeah. And then for Trails of Cold Steel 3, it's a freaking 2 year gap. 2017 of September 28th when it was released. Then we got it on October 22nd, 2019 in America and Europe. This time both America and Europe both got the game at the same time. Trails of Cold Steel 4 was released on September 22nd, 77, 2018. We got it on October 27, 2020. And then regrettably, it was released in 2020 of August 22nd, and then it will be released in 2015 for both America and Europe.
And of course, it is understandable as to why they have those gaps, like you explained earlier, because a lot of the games are very text heavy,
Yeah,
especially in the cutscenes.
yeah. And just like the Tia, there's an unforced cutscenes throughout the game.
You know, I could do what I would normally do and do voice acting over them.
I bet we could get one of them a shot.
I did it when I would play Uzume's game, and I would do it with other Neptunia games as well, and I even did it with Shantae too.
Yeah, but nevertheless, those unvoiced cutscenes are kind of remind me of those classic RPGs where there's no voice acting throughout the entire game.
Oh, like Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest.
Final Fantasy mostly, especially Final Fantasy 7 and 8, as well as 9.
What about Chrono Cross? Those had unvoiced cutscenes as well.
I don't talk about that game, because that game got overshot by Chrono Trigger big time.
I mostly know it because of Red, but I
Yeah,
was just providing an example of another game that has unvoiced cutscenes.
yeah, Chrono Trigger has those too.
Could say like every old school RPG has unvoiced cutscenes.
Yeah, in general. Yeah, even in the modern times, we still have unvoiced cutscenes, and yeah, also, here's a fun fact. If you use cheats or say attitudes to show the party bubbles you're not supposed to have at some point in the game, and when you get tempted to play through the game using the party bubbles you shouldn't have, you're probably gonna run into glitches. Some of them can be kind of hilarious to watch, but others can be kind of devastating.
It makes me wonder if it's some kind of anti-cheat measure.
Actually, it's not something like that. It's possibly because the game doesn't know how to handle the cow who's not supposed to be dead at this point in the game. So, for example, I had Crow, and I carry Crow throughout almost the entire game. When I get to a cutscene, he appears in the cutscene just standing there, and he doesn't say anything, but he appears in the cutscene just standing there when the rest of the cutscene plays out, and he's not even there. So yeah, it is a hilarious glitch, but I'm gonna post a screenshot showing off that glitch. Here it is. You're not supposed to have Hannah. You're not supposed to have Chloe at this point in the game. If you had somebody to say attitude, you would show up the cutscenes like that.
And that is very weird. I will show it up on screen. I would have to edit it into the video after we are done recording.
Yeah.
So I can put the screenshots there.
Basically, it's kind of like a hilarious bridge to watch. On the other hand, there are other cutscenes that play out like normal with all the animations and everything. Again, I had Crow, which I should not have at this point in the game, but I had it in by the same attitude anyway, so he shows up just like normal.
And I find it interesting how you can basically put in characters you're not supposed to have into the game using a save game editor.
Yeah. So basically, it causes a lot of funny sound inside. Now, unfortunately, however, the game phase just doesn't know how to handle something like that. So aside from the cutscene glitches, there's also the song blocks that can happen. On one occasion, when you defeat a boss and the cutscene plays out, the game may occasionally stop block when you had a party button you should not have at this point in the game. The only way to resolve this is to get rid of the party button you shouldn't have and then just proceed through as normal.
I guess that the data is not there, which is why it's responding in such a way where it just locks up.
I guess the game doesn't know how to handle the Caloid who doesn't know how to handle the Caloid who's not supposed to get you're not supposed to have illusory, which is why it locks up like that. And speaking of which, every time you get a party ball, every time you get a party ball, or the game removes party balls, or the party removes the balls out of the party, it does it in such a way. I think the tail what it only does is just take away the party ball and shoot it. It takes away the party ball and if you study key frameworks should have, it just goes skew on the other hand, it basically does it a little bit differently. So basically, for example, I had Emma at one point. I would put Emma out of the party because I want to have a 15, almost all 15, because I have to have 5 the dialogue. Now, the game basically, let's just say and the game takes away, and I get to a point in the game where the game gets me the changes of my party selection or removes gets away any party balls, then it removes all the party balls I should have. And any of the party balls I do not have, I should have, I don't like Emma, the game just basically gets them back, gets her back. So, so here it is. I remove Emma out of the party, and then the game just gets her back at some point throughout the chapter. And in the case of chapter 2, this happened like 5 times in a row.
Oh wow, that is crazy.
It's like it's like the game. It's like I pretty much got it. It's pretty much just like I got into a fight with the game. A game constantly giving me Emma, and I just reject Emma, and then this game just gets her back again and again and again 5 times.
What is going on with the game's code? Keeps giving you characters you don't really need.
Yeah. In this case, Emma is one of the kills I should have had at this point in the game. But since I removed her out of the party, the game handles fine throughout the progress until the game gets her back, when my party selection has changed for various reasons. And this applies to the first Transical Steel game. For the second Transical Steel game, on the other hand, I think it may operate the same exact way, but we will see about
When we get to covering the second Trails of Cold Steel, when you get around to playing it.
yeah, after I finish the first game, I'm gonna cover the second and see how how things can get messy when using a say attitude. So far I'm not going for the first Trails Steel game. I kinda like it, but it feels so limited when compared to the sequels. I mean there's not much interesting party modes I can use outside of Glow and outside of Glow. And of course, having to deal with outside in this game is like deal with that for having dimension to get victory. I just feel uncomfortable with Allison on screen. I know I like Allison and she's one of my all-time favorites, but I really can't stand her only in the first game.
So basically, she becomes a much better character in the sequels.
Yeah,
So So almost like a Sunset Shimmer kind of situation. I can't really think of any other characters in the moment who were unlikable or in the not really unlikable in the original. They became more likable in the sequels.
Yeah, this was like the case. And another thing to think about in Nintendo is unique. In the food in AK2, Uni food starts off as a cow that is a food where it's to that gear. But as the game goes on, she basically becomes more likable throughout. It becomes more likable throughout.
Oh yeah, I remember how Uni was towards Nepgear. She was mean. She was a tsundere, like
It's
Noir.
like, yeah, I don't want to call Noir Junior for a reason.
She is just like her older sister.
Fortunately, Uni winds up the Netgear later on in K2, and she basically joins Netgear's party. And eventually, by the end of Mark 2, Uni basically likes being with Netgear now.
Yeah, they became really good friends.
Yeah, good character bond. But in Tropical Steel 1, Alisa, where the heck do we even start with her? It's like what happens is you take the one of me, you, and put it all into one freaking giant blender. She's like the one, which is only like a rough side. But as I play through chapters 1, 2, and 3, every time, when Sharon gets involved into the story at this point, Elsa was freaking nuclear at this point. And I just feel uncomfortable every time she's on screen.
Does she not
Think
like her or something?
I don't know, but it seems like Elsa is a guest showing for whatever reason. But I kind of glad she improves for the sequel. Because if I had to deal with her for the rest of the franchise, she would have been bumped down a few ranks on my favorite Kalos list. But I kind of glad there's only one game, and that is Treasure Coast Steel 1.
I have no idea what the writers were thinking with how they made Elisa's personality.
Yeah, it's fine in a couple of cutscenes. But if she gets pissed off for various reasons, oh boy, you're gonna be one heck of a trouble. Yeah.
And here I thought Noir was the tsundere. No, Elisa, she's more of a tsundere.
Yeah. No one ain't got nothing on her. In anything, I can look back at Noir TV and they're like, maybe they're not so bad to deal with after all. Don't get me wrong. I still like Alisa. I still like Alisa. She's one of my favorites. But only in the first trailer to go through again. Because I can't really stand her in that game. Thank goodness she improves in the sequels.
And became a lot more likable.
Yeah. And I just can't wait for that. Man. So yeah. As for the other female characters like B, Boba, Emma, Minimum, oh fucking I guess slipping past it anyway. They all just as good. And they're fun. But my focus is mostly on the male.
And when I eventually play, of course, I would just have an all female party because I'm all about that girl power.
I all about male power on the other hand. So I just go with males and every getting opportunity. And with the game only gives me a bunch of females, I just use a stay out of to give myself males only. The only time I use a female is when the game forces me to use one, or when I just have to have one just for the dialogue. So yeah, it is kind of surprising that at least Elsa was, put it simply, the one, but even no, but even, yeah.
So, even worse than Noir?
Well, at least the first Trails of Cold Steel game, she is flat out worse than the Noir. At least the Noir had a, yeah.
I mean, Noir had her qualities. Elisa, on the other hand, not so much.
She does have a couple of redeeming traits, thankfully, and she does had a couple of good, has a couple of, well, she just had a couple of a good moments here and there throughout most of the game. So at least she's not that bad, but when she's in a good, I like her, but when things go kind of bad for her, yeah. But there's some times in throughout the game where I feel exactly like her. In this cutscene. Yes, especially the part when your face end up inside and mind. You know, and I prevent you from ever thinking about it. Ever. Forget it ever happened. And you know what? I ain't wait for her. Because I never wanna remember this I never want to remember that freaking incident back at the beginning of the game where she lands with Rian's face and up on Alice's chest, and I want to forget this ever happened again.
I don't think she does those in the sequels. I don't. Yeah.
Oh, you, well, guess what? I got some good news for you. She forgets about this incident entirely in Treasure Coaster 2, 3, 4, and Lettering.
So basically, she got redeemed.
Yeah. Thank God for Treasure Coaster 2.
She is definitely worse than Noir in those scenes.
You know, no one might look at Elsa and be like, no one might look at Elsa with a smile on her face because the one might have some competition. And speaking, so, and speaking of which, Trails Coaster 2, you're not going to be ready for it. The first Trails Coaster game did not have the element, and that is understandable. But starting the second Trails Coaster game, they added it in, and it struck all the way to readily. Here it is.
Oh my, how lewd.
Falcon, I know. I really have nothing to say. It's do you really hit a you low Falcon? You can't defend fan service? Not even a tear will ever go this through.
I know. Not even in Sisters versus Sisters.
I think your voice was cutting off. Can you please say that again?
Not even in Sisters versus Sisters.
Yeah. Not even the tear would do something like this. Not even sisters would do something like this. This is 2014, and this is the best it can come up with.
You okay?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Anyways, Airbends and Tropical Seal are and sadly, entering throughout the game is most than on mandatory. And because they have how show up the layer to anyone's face, it's a good reason why Falcon first person on you with no way to make it third person. Even if you use freaking camera hack tools, your character goes invincible. So you can't even see yourself inside an actor.
I guess the reason why they did that so you don't see the character's butt in front of you?
Yeah, Falcon did the step in the Euro, and they're like, oh no. And anyone plays for this game and just focusing on the story and whatnot, and they handle it Elder, they're gonna be seeing the character's blood in front of the face. So, what's the solution for this? Oh, I know! Make it first person! That would be a good idea. Oh, and make the character invincible. So just in case if the freaking cloudy hackers would just take first person out of their heads, it's down to just invincible anyway.
I mean, I understand why they did that, but it's still pretty weird with how the model is invisible and you can't see the arms of your character crawling in the vent.
Yeah, they could have always done that, but no, the entire car goes fucking invincible. You can't even see your arms, nothing. You can't even see your freaking arms inside out there.
And other games have done this. Even the original Half-Life has done this, and that's not even an RPG.
Yeah. So yeah. Also, another thing I'd like to point out in Resident Steel is that not only you get in throughout the game, you don't have to levels. They should use the same attitude to get yourself a ridiculous party level. Then it's possible to end up with a grand total of 7 party balls fighting a team at the same time.
And that
Yeah.
is and that is interesting.
You can only have like 4, 5, or 3 throughout the game. But with the same attitude, we can have about 6 or 7 depending on which point you are in the game. And this is very broken because you can unleash your firepower completely on and watch as you just blaze through the crap out of the game at this point. plays the heck out of that Polish game as a result.
As for me, I'm probably not going to use any save game editors or cheat engine and just play the game as is.
I see. For me, I don't have the time to climb my butt off, so I just use the Seiken antidote just to get those bosses and enemies done and over with. You know why? Because I want to enjoy the story and see what happens next.
I'm the same way with
Yeah,
Neptunia, although I actually did use cheat engine on a couple of games, mostly because a lot of them were very grindy.
yeah. The only game I truly played with Jeff from start to finish in Nintendo was the original Dimension Material. I didn't use any cheats aside from developable content, so when I beat the game on easy, I have the password to choose cheats whatsoever.
And that is interesting, and we could talk more about that when we get to covering the Neptunia series, maybe down the road.
Yeah. Anyways, that does get Triple Seal up so freaking rude. I don't know what thought they were thinking when they added that.
I guess someone really enjoyed fan service.
You know what? I ain't been until you ever step at this wall. And also, speaking of modifying the custom soundtracks, doing it with Triple Steel it's extremely cheap. I'm like in the team only using this in one file, you have to crack using excessive tools or anything like that. And Triple Steel, it's nice enough to have it open into individual files which can easily replace. So you can have the soundtracks for other games by issue requests for Triple Steel. If you want to have your theme tracks, go right ahead. If you want a soundtrack to Final Fantasy 8, 7, and 9, go right ahead. You want the soundtrack to Xenoblade Chronicles, go right ahead.
And you can use music from pretty much any game you can think of in this game.
Yeah. And in some cases, sometimes the content soundtrack, sometimes the replace track may actually sound just as good as the original track in a certain cutscene.
Maybe I could try that out once I get around to playing it.
Yeah. Also, I had to mention about the Killer Ball. Now, in Transit Coast 1 and 2, the Killer Balls look kind of basic, but this was Falcon's first 3D game, I think. I could be wrong on that, but this was the first game where they used 3D balls to be everything. The Killer Balls look kind of basic as you can get to be faces or party textures, all that kind of stuff. But they kind of look, and they look pretty good at the time. But it isn't a trailer called Steel 3 4 and readily the malls got a massive improvement and they look freaking amazing.
And I agree, the models, they look really good. I wish that they could get ported to Gary's Mod in the future, because imagine if we made posters.
Yeah, and naturally we make posters of the Keller balls for Transfer Coast Steel. It will be so much possibility at this point. Because at this point, the only one that was ported was Juno for Transfer Steel 3. And she doesn't even have a lot though. And that was it. Unfortunately, it is unfortunate that no one else even bought the balls for Transfer Steel. Balls for the tip get ported, so Transfer Steel 9 is so lucky.
And I know, I wish we could have gotten more characters than just Juna.
Yeah. It kind of sucks in general because Trevico Steel have fantastic looking balls. And Gary's Bond, I've been in session in the past well making ball looking Gary's Bond when I feel like it. But still.
I only know of one person who could do model porting, but he mostly does it for Source Filmmaker, not Gary's Mod.
Oh, Yoshi?
Armor-san, yes.
Oh, it could be a possibility. We can, well, it is possible, and we can actually tell him to pull the balls from Trevico Steel at some point. And we can pull the balls to Gary's Bond's point. Then we can essentially get some ball ports of the counter balls from Trevico Steel.
Maybe when he's not busy, because he is busy with other things as well as working on requests.
Yeah, but when we see the Cal Moss Trust Steel get ported, it'll be an absolute win.
Oh, definitely. And, I could make animations.
Animations?
Using the models, yes.
That would be a good idea. That would be pretty nice to see.
I could, animate the moments from Yeah, when I eventually do the collab in the future with us as the characters that that represent us and having like the
Yeah,
voices.
as the Caramels for Tropical Steel,
Yes.
and even Bell. Hey, you can even create the scenes for Tropical Steel 1 and 2 with the Caramels for Tropical Steel 3, 4, and Red Wing.
As well with the voice lines, which the voice lines they are very easy to find and the models are easy to find, however they have not been ported yet.
Yeah. Basically, so remember that cutscene with the with Alice ends when Alice is saying that forget it ever happened? Well, you can we can actually use this we can create this cutscene with the malls for Tropical Steel 3, 4, and Red Wing.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Same cutscene, but different looking balls and animation. And also, speaking of the malls, for Natia, I know I'm going to talk it again, but it took Natia into bush with stars just to get the boss documents into, well, looking pretty new, and we're going to the ones for Trustful 2, 3, 4, and readily. Yeah, that.
You could definitely tell the difference if you compared the models from Victory to the models from Virtual Stars is like comparing the models from Trails of Cold Steel 1 to the ones that were used in 3, 4, and 5. Well, sorry, excuse me, 3, 4, and Reverie. There's no Trails of Cold Steel 5 unless if it's Trails into Reverie, but that's different.
And differences are freaking night and day. Yeah. So basically, and since the business system go on to use the mall designs of version with stars. And basically, comparing these ballers into the ones not individually, they showcase a one ass way. You know, imaginate, well, okay.
Is there anything else that you could say about the story, or
Oh yeah, the story. So, joining Treasure Coast Steel 4, unlike the previous games which only have one ending, Treasure Coast Steel 4 on the other hand has two endings. Both the Nova ending and the Golden ending. Now, as you play through Treasure Coast Steel 4, you actually get the Nova ending because you're well loaded to getting it because of reason. After the credits finish rolling and after the ending is finished, the game suddenly gives you a text, gives you a dial, gives you a text box telling you to roll up your save file and do a certain task. The game tells you, and then suddenly the ending changes to that of a going ending.
that reminds me of certain Neptunia endings with the requirements.
Yeah,
Which I actually remember skimming through the ending to get you any screenshots of Elisa in it. And even with the sound muted, I just could not watch it.
that's right. This ending, if you thought the Nova ending for this game was bad, the true ending, the Nova ending in Supposed to is even worse.
Yeah, and I thought that one particular ending was bad.
But this is even worse because, well, at least what the Lord is saying and all, and while the Lord is saying, Brienne dies. And so is cruel and minimal. Yeah, Brienne actually dies. And not only, and how did he, well, he didn't technically die because it showcases what happened to him after he tried to sacrifice himself. And this is showing the final chapter. But everybody who he left behind thought he was dead. He was finally dead. But yeah, so doing an open ending, you get to see the the cows actually react to his death, and Alice's face hit me freaking hard.
I remember seeing that too, and I was like, that is very sad. Because I know if I ever, when I finally play Trails of Cold Steel 4, I know for a fact I am going to break down on camera.
Basically, it's like God. Basically, and but the good news is it's not fully voice acted. You just see the reactions. You don't hear any voices whatsoever.
Oh, it would be even worse if it was fully voice acted.
Thank goodness for Falcon being this ending completely voiceless until you hear the guys get it together line.
Yeah, because I know if it was fully voice acted, oh, I would have an emotional breakdown.
Falcon, you, you, How can you make? How can you even top use these games as no way ending with this ending? Just how?
How? And I thought that was the saddest ending in any game ever, and I'm not exaggerating about that.
But this is even worse. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but
It's okay, I'm wearing headphones.
yeah. Anyways, this ending is even worse. And then I have played a lot of games that have sad endings, but this ending, oh my!
And I've also watched
Listen,
anime with sad endings, too.
and I saw Face Central Features ending. And that ending was way bad enough. But this ending, let's just say that Mega Dimension 7 and Face Central Feature ain't got nothing.
Yeah. I still can't believe I broke down live on YouTube when I was streaming that ending.
Yeah, but this the fact that Transformers Forces don't make ending us that freaking supposed to sacrifice of himself, and we actually get to see Class 7 breaking down tears, and everyone for Class 7 not planning to. Yeah,
I'm going to have to prepare myself if I ever get Trails of Cold Steel 4.
when I get to this ending, I know it's not fully voice acted, thank goodness, but I know this ending is basically know that we not technically dead and Venom's going to showcase his fate, but and you know what the sad part is? This is not the last Trails of Cold Steel game. Trails of Cold takes place out of this game. But guess what? Both the normal ending and the true ending are pretty much canon. So it's that.
And I can see that. I
Yeah.
know if you ever get the normal ending, I will be here to give you a hug. We will all be here.
So I can survive the normal ending of Trails of Cold Steel 4 because I'm a tank. So there's that. And plus, Cole's moving my time anyway, so when he goes down, I bet I'm gonna take his death, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna hold it extremely well. But when I say Elias's face when we saw that we can sacrifice himself, oh no, I'm gonna be definitely gonna be that crowd.
For me, being a very, very emotional person, I know for a fact that as soon as the ending starts, I am going to break down.
And you know what? And guess what? The ending in the no ending in Tricycle Steel 4, it's always sad enough as it is, but I decided to replace the song, replace one of the track with decided to replace the track that is used for the no ending with the ending track of Phrase through Situate Bitches, which is also pretty sad in its own. So that combo, so in the note, so the result is the Tricycle Steel Forces no ending with the Phrase through Situate Bitches story Moses ending song. And the end result and this makes it even sadder.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about how you were planning to put a Blaze Blue song in the ending.
And actually, I did that, and it totally fits all too well.
Oh, that's interesting. And also, I sneezed earlier.
It's okay. You know what? This ending kind of reminds me of Central Fiction's ending. Because that ending has ran with the footage of Freewish just always himself for the system. But at least that ending, he basically moved everyone's movies I mean, so no one has to be worried about speed sad about losing here. But here, man doesn't even get that sort of deal. Man, just seeing Alice's face and Trezacle's he was just and it just freaking hurts in the freaking eye. Man,
When I
Alice,
saw when I saw her face, I felt the same way.
I mean, seeing her in the awful that Trezacle Steel 4 was already bad enough. But the only man sacrificing himself is his father, basically just in the better life. She finally just broke down.
Yeah, when I saw her, I wanted to give her a hug.
Outside this Wentz goes for a lot. But this one ending is where she finally broke down entirely.
Yeah. I was also about to ask a question. How long do we intend to make this video? Because I'm looking at the recording and it's at 49 minutes now.
It's okay. And speaking of this freaking picture with Emma and outside, that freaking face that is, oh my god. This is also, they should put it something like that. It takes it even worse. It's also the fact that a few minutes ago, Alice saw her father to be for her life, and as she saw the mental of his real self in her small home, and she may get to see her real father. On top of that, she then had to watch as we then the person that strong to the way it's like both her in the guy he brought in a single day. His only expected that she'll get a complete wreck now. Jeez. And here I fought neck to a neck he had it bad. But Elsa got freaking whacked!
She had it worse than Neptune and Nepgear in that ending.
Elsa deserves a lot better. Elsa needs a fucking break, man.
She definitely needs a break.
Yeah. When I get to this cutscene, when I get to this at going for Treasure Coast 4, but before Readily, when I see this face, I'll be like, eventually I just feel bad for her out of going through with her throughout the whole game, and seeing her face, it definitely freaking hurts still. And since Alice is my favorite, this hurts even more.
That's exactly how I felt about Uzume in that one ending, because she is my favorite, and yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that ending was bad enough. But in Treasure Coast 4's no ending, it's even worse because Leanne, Pro, and Venom all sacrifice themselves. And unfortunately, everyone in Class 7 reacts to their sacrifices. But Alistair takes his death hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alistair had it worse than that. At least those two were recovered. So for Alistair, there's no freaking way she could recover for all of that out of what happened. Her face says it all.
I can see that. It makes me feel really sorry for her.
And she's an adult now. You expect she will. I know she's an adult now, but I know she's done with Class 7, I suppose. But just seeing all this happening. I know. Well, let's hope that Trails 2 Readily can actually get Elsa a play she truly deserves.
Yeah, I don't think any of us have played it yet, so, well, it's not even out yet, internationally.
Yeah, but I still haven't played for Trails 2 Readily, and I'm gonna hope that Elsa may actually catch a play. And I ever see her in the ending picture of Readily, and see her being smiling, happy and smiling, then I'll be kind of happy that she finally got a play. Even though this is the true ending timeline version. Not the no ending timeline, because basically the no ending timeline is basically, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about that because of course I have not played it yet, but it is interesting hearing you talk about it.
Yeah. So speaking of class set, the first two games focus on the whole class set, but come the fourth games, class 7 is the focus.
Okay,
So there's that.
So you have the old Class 7, then you have the new Class 7.
Yes. Now, as for which, new class 7 is definitely my cup of tea. Because my old class 7 has some enjoyment count like the aforementioned Alisa and Gaius. Unfortunately, I don't think they're like a tight group because they don't hang out with each other that much. New class 7, on the other hand, yeah.
So what are your thoughts between the two?
What is it?
What are your thoughts between old Class 7 and new Class 7?
For class 7, I think it's fine. But U Class 7 on the other hand is much better in my opinion. I mean, U Class 7 is definitely my cup of tea, or the old Class 7, but I kind of like both, but I think U Class 7 is way better.
I don't really know because, yeah, when I eventually get around to playing it, I will let you know. But as for specific characters, I'm already starting to like Renee and Juna and Emma.
As for, okay. As for me, I'm starting to get a lot of my favorites. But of Elsa, Renee, I have so many favorites in terms of Ghost Steel, I can't even list it all. But yeah. Anyways, how can you make a one ending even worse than one of the endings for the States game in general? I just had to say it out. Check it out there. Checks.
I mean, how can you easily top it? And I keep repeating, and I repeated myself, and I thought it was the saddest ending ever.
But you look at Trail Coast Steel 4's only ending, and it blows every single pirate ending you ever saw out of the water.
Even even the endings to some of the anime I've seen, like Talentless Nana, Angel Beats, Day I Became a God, and even the ending to the 2019 adaptation of Fruits Basket.
They always especially were bad enough. But when Chelsea Coast Steel 4 is no ending, well, at least the boys say, but unfortunately, he had sacrifices himself, and everyone from Class 7 will Hugh takes his step extremely hard. And basically, it's unlike in Lucy's game, where only neck to a neck here, and can offer gratitude when they have. But in Chelsea Coast Steel 4, everyone from Class 7 is here to react to his death. Guy, we can't get an ounce of face out of my head now. I haven't seen this ending.
Yeah, I feel the same way too.
This ending freaking off flashed me right in the face.
We are going to have to prepare ourselves when we get there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that much sooner, however, because yeah, eventually. So, speaking of my chapter notes, I even listed the Avalon as was dead because we don't know that Rian is not actually dead. He just disappeared by sacrificing himself, and we don't even know where he's at. So everyone thought he was dead, but he's still alive.
Okay, so basically, he probably went into hiding.
Well, he sacrificed himself. He's still technically alive, but we don't even know his whereabouts now. So everyone thought he was dead, so they arrested his supposed death. But Rian is technically still alive because there's a piece of dialogue that he might be out there somewhere.
Probably.
So there was just a way of hope that Rian's still alive out there. But it ain't gonna change the fact that this ending is definitely one of the saddest I ever saw. I thought all the endings I saw for all the games we faced with Century Fiction were bad enough. But this film just take the cake.
I know it's crazy how this basically tops some of the most sad video game endings ever.
And it's Falco no play on Congolese. Idea Factory can play on hard offices and wolves. They ain't got nothing on this ending. Then to evolve, one of my favorite colors, Elsa, and seeing the reaction to Rian's supposed death, and she takes it extremely hard. The bomb what happened a couple of months ago. Elsa's reaction hits me really hard. Freaking chest.
Seeing that ending also hit me pretty hard.
Yeah, this is just like Usain's against no ending, except 1,000 times worse than that. Because not only does the main character actually dies, which is something that does not happen in 7 in such capacity, but we also see everyone's reactions to his supposed death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that being said, is that Trust Coast to 4's endings, well, especially the no ending, is ridiculous one of the saddest endings I ever saw. Yeah, I thought Place Procedural Adventure's ending was bad enough. But this topped everyone. This actually voted the competition of the saddest game, failed game endings of all time.
I know it is very sad.
Yeah, the fact that see the reactions that everyone took to the end supposed to be dying, the ending so this ending is definitely one of the saddest in the entire Falcons failed game history. Sure, the Lord say was the sacrifice was truly great.
Yeah. Also, what do you think of the gameplay of Trails of Cold Steel?
It's like what happens. You take Materia, Persona, and Fairy Fanciful, and you take it all and put it all into a giant blender. That basically sums up the gameplay. It's very easy to play. You have to play tools, and you also if you want, and you can either find it easy to very easy if you want to make the games to a complete rapid start into what's about. But even on those different settings, the game is still proceed to fight back with bosses and whatnot.
So I think it would be very fun once I get around to playing it.
Yeah. Oh, and the story is well, let's just say it's pretty good. Also, I also forgot to mention that for Old Class 7, when you look at their appearances in Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2, they look kind of young. But you should compare to the appearances for Trails of Cold Steel 3, 4, and Redaway, they look all growing up.
So basically, oh yeah, the characters do become older in the sequels.
Trails of Cold Steel 2, they ate up, but only very slight. Trails of Cold Steel 3, they ate up big time. And you can always fairly easily old Class 7.
Of course, and they actually do become more mature as well.
Yeah. So some of the characters that were become a lot more tolerable.
Especially Elisa.
After the first Trails of Cold Steel game, she becomes more tolerable in the second, in the third, in the fourth.
Not sure how she is in Into Reverie because, well, we have not played it yet.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Find it interesting how this was meant to be an overview video of the first Trails of Cold Steel and actually kind of became an overview video of the entire series.
Yeah. Because I literally cannot get the ending of the full Trails of Cold Steel game out of my freaking head. This ending totally freaking punched me in the face if I plays them one.
And it is going to be the next playthrough I'm going to start. It's going to be a collaboration.
So, for the whole game, I've been collaborating with you, huh?
Of course, and possibly Dragon Trickster if he is up to it.
So, now, I'm gonna set a joke and make fun of similar design decisions during your playthrough. So, I get the honor to actually decide on which bad choices to absolute shreds.
And that would be interesting to see.
Yeah. So now that I got plan to become now I still going for Trails of Cold Steel, I also got a plan to go for Bullets 2, 3, and 7 as well. I meant my quest history of both all three games got erased, but I can just redo then at some point.
When they finally announce Sisters vs. Sisters to be releasing in the US, because IFI tweeted a few things that are very cryptic, so I presume it's probably some kind of alternate reality game, an ARG, if you will.
I hope they bring the dog back, and if the game gets modified, Class 7 is gonna join the fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, can we play a our side in gaming industry?
If the models are compatible.
I hope so. And actually, Elisa and Juna, it's freaking heavy dimension material.
I would love to see that. I almost want to see Juna and Uzume together.
That would be amazing. And also Noir and our side.
Because of their similar personalities.
Yeah, it's almost like Noir came out last station.
Maybe she probably lives in Last Station and Juna probably lives in Planetoon.
Yeah, I agree.
So maybe we could add this to like an alternate universe as we go along.
Yes.
So how would you rate the Trails of Cold Steel series?
Oh, well, basically, here goes. For the first Trails of Cold Steel game, I went in the lowest. I still like this game, but it feels kind of limited compared to the sequels. And having to deal with our stuff throughout most of the game, I just really feel myself working. Trails of Cold Steel 2, like, we get much higher. More cows, a more tolerable Alsa, and of course, amazing plots, bosses, and of course, the continuation of the story for the first Trails of Cold Steel game. Trails of Cold Steel 3 is like slightly higher than Trails of Cold Steel 1, but below 2. It is a new generation for Class 7, which is nice and all. A new graphics engine, a new engine, a different cool looking balls. The gameplay is still being as good as ever, and it looks absolutely fantastic for playing the exact same. Like, looking absolutely fantastic when playing well at the same time. 4, definitely on the top of my list. I meant, what can you go wrong with it? Readily, I think it's tied with 4. Good game, a lot of content, biggest roster, but the only thing I wanted for the and of course, what can you do with what can you go wrong with that? So, Trails of Cold Steel 1, dead last. Trails of Cold Steel 3, 4. Trails of Cold Steel 2, third place. Trails of Cold Steel 4, second. And Trails into Italy, first.
And of course, I'm not sure how I would rank them because, again, have not played them yet, but when I do, I'll let you all know how I rank them personally.
Yeah.
When I say rank, I mean like out of 10 do you give the game?
Yeah. Anyways, so I became a huge fan of the Trails of Cold Steel series in general, but it's not gonna replace Materia. But being a big fan of Trails of Cold Steel and combining with Nintendo and whatnot really helps out a lot, big time.
And I'm kind of starting to become a fan of the series. The more you talk about it, the more interested I'm getting that I get.
Yeah.
Is there any more that you plan to say, or are we good?
Anyways, okay, I got a good idea. So for Trails of Cold Steel on the Switch, well, unfortunately, only the third and fourth Trails of Cold Steel games are on the Nintendo Switch.
I wonder why they skipped the
For Trails of
first.
Cold Steel 1 and 2, ha ha. Good luck getting your hands on it, and you should especially when I'm out in Europe.
I wonder why we never got Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 here for Switch.
Yeah, and it's viable on other platforms like PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, Steam, Google Games. But if you want the Switch, you're out of luck because only Trails of Cold Steel 4 are gettable. So if you kind of start off with the third game, it's gonna carry spoilers for the first two games. If you haven't played the first two games, you're gonna be going, "What are they talking about?"
Especially if you have not read up on the first two.
Yeah. Luckily, I play on Steam, so I get to experience the first two Treasure Cold Steel games before getting into the third game.
It's one of those series where you have to play in order.
Yeah. Start the first game, second, then the third, fourth, and finally Red Treasure to Red even if it doesn't carry the Cold Steel title, still takes place after the events of Treasure Cold Steel 4, both the normal and the true endings respectively.
Of course, and should I start doing game reviews on my channel?
Yeah. I don't think
Because maybe I could start doing game reviews.
I don't leave it up to you.
Of course.
So
And of course, if anyone is still watching this video, there were spoilers. I'm going to put like a spoiler at the beginning before our intros.
yes, because basically, just like with Facebook, Tricycle Steel is a spoiler-heavy franchise. So if you want if you want to get into the fail kind of line, and some of the surprises I talked about are best to be experienced by yourselves.
And I agree with that. It's better to go in blind rather than watching someone else's playthrough, especially if you don't want to deal with spoilers.
Yeah, if you don't want to deal with the gameplay, or you just don't want to play for the game for yourself, you can actually watch someone else's fail of playing for the whole game with no commentary, so you can get an understanding of how the story plays out.
Yeah, especially if you started with the third game, for instance.
Yeah.
So if you want to get Trails of Cold Steel, I recommend that you either get it on Steam or PS Vita or PS3. Is it on PS4?
Yes, on PlayStation 4, all 5 games are on there.
So if you have PS4 or Steam, you can get the games.
Yes.
Switch owners, unfortunately, are not so lucky, considering that over here you only have 3 and 4.
Yes.
Falcom, you need to pour Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2.
Yes. Especially when a lot of your customers tend to start at the third game, and they're not going to utilize the first two games for the thing, but then, especially with the first two games wanted to Switch, but they were only available in Japan, and Falcon would take it a sweet ass time just to, you get the idea.
Yeah, and hopefully they will port them soon.
Yeah.
Because
So if you want,
because that would be nice to have the entire collection on Switch.
yeah, if you want Blancs' console side, then yeah, I totally agree with that.
Or if you're over here in the PC continent or last station, you can get them all.
Yes. So, especially because you get the whole collection, including Readily. But especially even you own the Japanese version of Readily, you still have the complete collection. If you want if you want Rolly, however, you're not so lucky.
Which is unfortunate for those, for completionists who want to have the entire series.
Yeah. So, anyways, speaking of which, although I said it that you can have the ability to modify to use it, you can also modify the sound effects in exactly the same way too.
I wonder if you can add the Neptunia sound effects to it.
Yeah, so you can actually make Trails of Cold Steel sound like a heavy dimension material game.
It makes me wonder if you could import the assets from it too.
Oh boy, it will be freaking. It will be awesome if it's possible. It is possible that maybe you can port one of the material games in the same engine as the Trails of Cold Steel engine. It's possible.
And we could make a mod.
And you know what? This beginning of the codes aging up for teenagers to adults kind of reminds me of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Oh, same here with the different timelines.
Yeah. Oh god, I hope Nintendo doesn't get go out of the copyright asks on this one.
This channel is not even monetized, so I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Please be nice to us, Blonde.
Especially going. Okay. Please hold. Yeah, I know. So yeah. So yeah. Okay. And if you picking up the Switch, if you pick up a Trails to Battling, it is put on the Switch as well. But yeah, what Japan has did so far.
Well, Trails into Reverie as a whole is not even out yet.
Yeah, I was gonna back you up. Japan has it already. Basically, yeah.
You know, I do plan to visit my local game store later. Maybe I could think about picking it up. Well, picking up Trails of Cold Steel 3 for my Switch, although in the future after I finish the first two.
Well, you can technically buy it on Steam, well.
Yeah, I could. But I also kind of want to use my Switch more, although I'm already using my Switch for this playthrough, but I'm also going to switch, no pun intended, to Steam.
As for me, I'm going PC on all 5 games, from 1 all the way to Redaway. Because, yeah. And then she also forgot to notice, I also, just like I do with Taylor, I play through the games with the mouse and keyboard, I also play Trails of Cold Steel using the mouse and keyboard as well.
Oh, same here. I sometimes use a mouse and keyboard. Sometimes I use the Wii Classic controller.
Yeah, because I got that style back when I was emulating, well, games, we used to play 64 and whatnot, but I just use a keyboard because we gotta control we gotta control what has time, what's the keyboard, but eventually I got mastered the control, so I began to play heavy RPG.
It's also how I play pretty much every single game is, well, on the PC is with a keyboard and mouse. Everything from first person shooters to platformers, fighting games,
Yeah,
RPGs, strategy games.
yes. And speaking of the chapters and all 4 physical steel games, here's an entire chapter list as you combine all the 4 games together.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if you count the prologue and the epilogue and the intermissions, in total that is 24 chapters plus. Okay, that's 2, that's the prologue, and 3 intermissions. That's 29 chapters in total.
Yes, and those in additions are the endings of the corresponding game. For the first Trails game, I had to reserve against why. Like, no, they need me. Let me stay. For the second game, I had 7 expands, like your few features. Third game, as for now, advice one. Fourth game, the game source and the reason I added the question mark is because we don't even know if he's dead or not.
We don't know. He could be in hiding.
Yeah, and you have to play through readily to find out what happened to him.
Which, for us who live in North America and Europe, you have to wait until next year. Unless if you were lucky and imported it from Japan, but if you can't read Japanese, good luck trying to play it.
Yeah, it's like playing. You know, it's like you try to mash buttons on the machine. You should can't even learn Japanese at this point. Now, luckily, you can go into Steam and buy the Japanese version of Trust right away from there, and you can actually play through the 5th game, even if you can't understand Japanese. But you can actually know what's going on. So you can try to understand what's going on the best you could, and there you go.
I could always just use a translator. Oh, kind of like what Red does when he was playing through Sisters vs. Sisters. He used his phone with Google Translate. Like, was it Google Translate? Or was he using a different translator? He was basically translating the Japanese text.
Yes, that would work. Anyways, so basically, Trails of Cold Steel 1 is the only mainline Trails of Cold Steel game aside literally that has a Jack's name listed. Trails 2 got to get away with it entirely, but still refer to it as chapters no matter what. So, as for speaking of the first Trails of Cold Steel games, in addition, that line was based off of the lines from the first game's ending.
And that is interesting.
But then, You should go in adding randomly to the list, then it gets even more crazy. There's 29 chapters. Now it's about.
And what is the total amount of hours to play through all of these games?
If you combine all, you pay to get a whopping 1,000 hours to go through all of this.
That is insane, and I know for someone like me, I don't have that much time to be playing a game, and I know that the Trail series, I think they are very long RPGs.
Yeah, one game is long enough. But if you combine all 4 or 5, oh, you in for one hell of a treat. I mean, you in for one hell of a lot.
An emotional ride, to be specific.
Yeah, because when you hit the 14th story ending, it's gonna hit you right in the freaking face.
And just like that ending for Musume's game, I'm going to be talking about it for years.
Yeah, Falcon, why do you have to make an ending that topples that one ending for Mega Dimension 2 7? Especially the normal ending. Because that ending sucked. I mean, this ending was, for anyone who got it just turned it upside down and just fully was just ripped the balls out of anyone who got it. But this ending, it's like what happens? You should get instead you're the one who got fouled, and you basically get freaking kicked in the face constantly as you see this whole thing unfold.
And I know for a fact when I do see it, it will take me a long time to get over it. A very long time.
Yeah, basically. And you know what's the unfortunate part? This ending is canon. That's why. Now I know the true ending doesn't exist, and you're probably gonna get this ending and you watch the no ending response, and then you see the no ending, you get the true ending, and thank goodness for that true ending. But both endings are canon.
Okay, so it's not like with Neptunia where the normal endings are non canon?
Yeah, but this both endings are canon. The no ending because what happened to Leanne, the true ending for everybody else in Leanne as well. It draws to readily takes place out of the true ending. For the no endings event is going to show up and the F-bomb.
I think I'm going to probably try to get the true ending because I don't want to see anyone die.
But guess what? Think again. You have to see the no ending first. The game railroads you to getting it on the first playthrough.
Okay, so basically it has like a new game plus.
Once you get that ending, you have to pull your save file. And then through the steps the game tells you, and you unlock gold and then you unlock true ending. And that true ending is there because everyone who gets freaking punched in the face by the no ending can recover from the true ending of the get. Can recover from the no ending of the get. But if you want to take out the true ending and read us the no ending, that will be the true sad ending for this whole franchise. So, if you want to take out the true ending, and leave all the no ending, this will be pretty sad. Watch. Are you still here, by the way?
No, oh, I was just letting you talk.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you can follow us on YouTube and DeviantArt. I am Daydream Tracer.
And this is me Raffine52. You can follow me on DeviantArt, Twitter. Twitter. I basically don't mind you follow me, but yeah,
And you can also add us on Steam if you like.
yes.
So
And I want to talk more about Tropical CO. It would take us even more than a dozen hours to talk every single one of these features and every single one of this related piece of content out there.
we could split this up into multiple parts maybe.
Yeah.
So I thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video and more videos, especially gameplay videos will be coming soon, so stay tuned, stay positive, do some science, keep calm, daydream on, and cheers love.
And of course, eventually when the time comes again, I'll be collaborating with you again. But for now, I will see you in the next collaboration fail.
And I'll see you there too.
This is Raffine52 and Daydream Tracer, signing out.
Cheers loves.